And good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'd like to welcome you all to today's BROWZ webinar. My name is John Bowen, and I'm Director of Product Development at BROWZ. It's been a great year for product development at BROWZ. We've introduced some new products and services for our customers, including 2 mobile apps that we're really excited about that let both suppliers and clients check compliance. So if you haven't checked out those mobile apps, go to your Google Play Store or your Apple Store and search for BROWZ and download those today. Today we're pleased to have with us Sean Simon and Andrew Chartrand of Vivid Learning Systems. Andrew is going to present to you today the Vivid Learning Systems offering in the mining space, particularly how Vivid can help you meet your MSHA requirements for training. A few housekeeping issues to go over before we get started. We have a large number of people in attendance today, so all your lines have been placed on mute to eliminate background noise. If you have any questions for the panel, please use the WebEx chat window to submit your question to us. We'll consolidate those questions and address as many as we can at the end of this call during the Q&A period. Today's presentation should last approximately 45 minutes, which will include a 15-minute session of questions and answers. Okay, let's get things kicked off. BROWZ is really excited about our strategic relationship with Vivid Learning Systems. BROWZ is the largest third-party pre-qualification and compliance organization in the mining space, and we're happy to introduce to you Vivid Learning Systems, the largest provider of online instructor-led training in the MSHA space. I'm sure many of you have been told that MSHA does not accept online training to meet your MSHA requirements, but we're here to tell you how Vivid Learning Systems has been doing this for mining customers for years now. This isn't something that we're just introducing today. They have years of experience doing this. I'd like to introduce to you Andrew Chartrand of Vivid Learning Systems. Andrew is the MSHA Program Manager at Vivid. He is an MSHA Part 48 certified instructor and is accountable for all the MSHA operations and regulatory compliance at Vivid Learning Systems. Andrew has a strong relationship with MSHA and manages the local MSHA district relationships for Vivid. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, John. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. All right. So thanks, John. First off, I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, and thank you for putting this on, John. We have over 200 people in here, which is great. I'm very excited to be sharing this information with everyone today. So I have a presentation that I want to load. I know some people are asking about the visuals here. Let me go ahead and share my screen and load up this PowerPoint so everyone can see it. Okay. Everyone should now be able to see my first slide here. So I just want to introduce myself a little bit. I know John gave me a good introduction, but I am the program manager for Vivid Learning Systems. And what I wanted to cover today is really the ins and outs of our Part 48 training. So mainly what I want to focus on for this presentation is really how we are able to offer this service, how the enrollment process works, and the cost associated with each product. John had mentioned that this is going to be about a 45-minute presentation. I know when it comes to MSHA training, questions are something that we definitely want to be sensitive on, so I'm going to give us plenty of time to answer those for you. I hopefully will be covering most of them in this presentation, but at the very end, I'm going to make sure that we have plenty of time to answer any questions you might have. Okay, so just a little bit of a background. You know, we are an online safety training company. We are focusing today just in the MSHA space. We have been in this space for about 6 years now, offering Part 46 and Part 48 training. It hasn't been until recently where we have been really revamping the entire program. We've been working with MSHA for probably close to 10 years now in offering our services. And I would say in the past 4 years or so, we've really been close with them because we wanted to offer this Part 48 training to all contractors for new miner and refresher. It hasn't been done before online, and there has been a lot of talk as to whether or not it can be provided online. And during this presentation, I will be answering some of those questions from a regulatory standpoint and how we were able to offer this product. So again, I'm very excited to be sharing this information with you. I wanted to give a quick history of our MSHA, kind of how it came to be. So we have had our plan approved for online delivery in 2012. But before that, we were offering Part 46 training. So we've been in the industry for quite some time now. And it wasn't until around 2012 where we decided to really begin focusing our efforts on the Part 48 new minor and refresher. So we went out, James Moss, who's our industry manager, and myself, we went out and became instructors for Part 48, and we had very close relations with MSHA corporate over in Arlington, and we basically had a lot of back and forth conversation to ensure that if we were to start this program that we were meeting all of MSHA's compliance expectations. And that was very important to us because there has been a negative perception as to how training can be delivered online. So we spent a couple of years just trying to make sure that we were doing everything to their best wishes. So it has been a long time coming for us to be able to offer this. And we have been doing the new minor and refresher since 2012. So it's been almost 4 years now. So a lot of you probably haven't heard of us because there is a lot of contractors out there who are currently receiving their training in a local classroom or bringing a trainer in. There isn't a whole lot of talk about online training, and again, a lot of that has to do with the misconception that it cannot be completed online. Here's a copy of our training plan. You see that we have been approved in the Western District. Our plan is actually allowed because it's approved in one district. We can offer this training to contractors across the country. For those of you who have employees who are outside of the country that are going to be joining in U.S. mines, we can also offer training in an online format. So we do have a lot of folks that are in Germany, Australia that do receive this training that will be visiting U.S. mines. All right, so currently right now we train about 150 to 200 users. Recently, that number has been going up quite a bit. We have 3 instructors on staff that can handle the workload. We do offer this course every single week for the new minor, and we offer the refresher every day. So we have the ability to train up to 90 new minor students each week and an unlimited amount of refresher students each week in our virtual classrooms. Just a little quick background with the 3 instructors. We have James Moss, I mentioned him earlier. He is our industry manager. Myself, the program manager, I'm located in Austin, Texas. And our lead MSHA instructor, Jacob Fenn, he is in Arizona currently. So he is the one that conducts the new minor training every Tuesday through Thursday. This is our product line. We offer Part 48 new minor refresher as well as 46 new minor and refresher. And I want to go over the differences between all of them in case some of you may be unaware of what covers what. So for Part 48, we are looking at our gold, coal, copper, iron, rare earth, etc. So this is the training that requires a MSHA certified instructor to sign off on those 5,023 forms. We do sign off on all of our training. That's probably one of the questions we get a lot when it comes to this is who signs off on the training? We are approved to be able to sign off on these certificates once they complete it. So every new minor that's going to be put through here will have that on record, and every year after that they are eligible for an 8-hour refresher. Part 46 works, it sounds like it's similar, but it's not. We're focusing on the sandstone and gravel, so our aggregates for Part 46. So for those of you who have operations in aggregates, our training does work a little bit differently than the Part 48. We are offering the content for training. So when it comes to this side, the organizations or the companies that are utilizing it are going to receive the training They're going to receive the training plan template and access to our Part 46 certificates. Everything will need to be signed off from a competent person within this organization. So one of the big differences in 48, we are signing off on the certificates because we are verifying each student. I'm sorry, for 48, and for 46, it's going to be on the organization. And we can certainly help figure out which one your contractors need if you are unsure. That's part of what we do as a team over here on the Vivid side is stay in very close contact with each person that's signing up because it's important to us to ensure that everyone is taking the correct training. Okay, so just a little bit about Part 48 training. I like to touch on this a lot. Can we do it? And I've showed you the plan, but it's more than just getting a training plan approved for being able to offer it in this format. I work very closely with MSHA. We, in fact, encourage MSHA in various districts to sit in on our training and audit. So a couple of months ago, actually, we had an MSHA district, I think in the Midwest, sat in on our training and came back with very good reviews of it. So we are very encouraging of anyone to sit in on our training, anyone with MSHA. If there's ever a situation where a contractor is stopped at a mine site, then we get involved. I will speak to the mine site and let them know. Normally, all they need to see is a training plan that we have, and we're good to go. I'm sure everyone here has probably ran into situations with MSHA and being stopped at a certain point, but if it's a situation where they will not let you on site, we will get involved and we will speak to them and provide the necessary information to get contractors on site. So this is new. So when we talk about something that is new for an industry, even though we've been around for a few years, there might be situations where sites might just simply be misinformed. So hopefully, with this planning information, we can clear up any of that confusion. So our Part 48 training, it's on demand, but it is actually supposed to be offered during our normal business hours. So we do not actually allow training to be done on the weekends or after our business hours, which are right here, 7 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. Pacific time. So anytime during the week, a refresher student who wants to take the training gets in contact with us. We do require that they send us a previous copy of their 5023 form for verification. We want to ensure that everyone is, again, taking the right training. But once we can verify that and they sign up for it, they have access to our virtual classroom Monday through Friday from this time right here. So it gives them the flexibility to actually break up the training. If they wanted to do 4 hours today and 4 hours tomorrow, they can do that as long as they're in that virtual room with a webcam. Webcam is a very important tool in order for us to actually be offering this training because verification is an absolute must when it comes to this. MSHA wants us to be able to show that we can see all the students, that no one's taking training on anyone else's computer or anything like that. So all students that go through our 48 will have to be on a webcam. But it does offer that flexibility. So we're very excited to be able to do that. So they don't actually have to set any time with us as long as it's been there. Our new miner works a little bit differently, though. Our new miner training actually needs to be scheduled because it's going to be a 3-day course. So it's going to be 3 8-hour days. And what that's going to entail is selecting a course date that will work for your schedule. And a couple of days before the actual training, we are going to be in contact with the contractor or the employee, and we're going to test out their microphone and their webcam and ensure that everything is working smoothly. And that way, when they actually get into the classroom, they're ready to go. They're familiar with the system already. So it's going to be 3 8-hour days, but we do offer this every week, as mentioned, and if we do need to open up additional classrooms, we do that based on demand. So we've never really ran into an issue with overflow because we can always bring in more instructors to train. For Part 46, this is going to go back on the the operator or the company that's going to be providing the training. So they have more flexibility based on what their policies are. So they can log on and off anytime during that company's business hours, and they're going to follow the same standards here. They'll have up to 45 days from start to finish to complete all their training. They still have that flexibility though, to break it up over multiple days. A competent person is required here, which means that someone who is well-versed in the policies of health and safety in mining needs to really oversee the students and really verify that they're doing the training correctly, just as we do for 48. All right. So now that I've talked about the different products that we offer, I want to talk about how you actually sign up with us. So it's quite easy. We have a landing page with BROWZ, and the first step is actually to verify the correct training product. So if you know which product that you would like, you would go to the Vivid BROWZ portal and sign up for it. It actually is going to ping us over here. And as soon as we get that request, we will be in contact with whoever filled out the form. And we're going to verify the correct training that they need. We'll ask a few questions just to make sure that before we set anything up that we're on the same page. Because again, if you do take the wrong training, we don't want anyone to have to redo 24 hours of training. So it's very important to us that we ensure that everyone is enrolled in the correct course. So once that is determined, then they will be able to sign up from those 4 different product lines at the portal. Then what they're going to do is, click register for the product that they'll have, and then put in their information, and there will be instructions that follow. So to break this down even further, essentially they're going to get a username and password depending on the product that they have signed up for, and they will have instructions to either log in to our virtual classroom or to get with the employee or employer who's the competent person and begin training that way. This is our virtual room. So this is for Part 48 training, and I'm mostly going to be focusing on Part 48 for this presentation because that's really the big one here. 46 has been around for quite some time to be able to offer the content online, so I really want to focus on 48. This is a quick snippet of our virtual room. It's very similar to like a GoToMeeting or a WebEx, except we have webcam spaces up here, and we can train up to 30 users. We've actually had, at times, 30 webcams at once. So internet speed is important when we talk about these classrooms. So it's important that if you are signing up, you have a decent connection, and that's something that we're going to test out with all students. When they are in this class, we have a share pod here, very similar to what you're seeing right now, the chat box, and an attendees list. So it's set up just like a classroom setting would be. Inside the actual training, though, there's going to be PowerPoint, online modules, as well as videos and discussions that will take place for the duration of the 3 days. The refresher is going to, the room's going to look very similar to this as well. So depending on which product you have, whether the 3-day or the 8-hour, you will be in a very similar room. And this is key as well. We have a moderator in this training. So if you have any computer problems that occur during the training, then you can speak to the moderator, get an instant response. If you have any questions on the training, an instructor is present in the room at all times to be able to answer those questions. So that is a big key factor as well into being able to offer this is instructor availability. We always have an instructor available during our business hours. Here's I guess a closer look of a room that was a little more full. In fact, I think we took this from this week's course. We normally fill up these classes every week. So if you have a certain date that you know you need to sign up for, the sooner the better to reach out to us so we can get everything worked out from a connectivity standpoint. So this is really the layout. Students have the opportunity to raise their hand, ask questions, There's polls in here that we utilize. It should be very familiar if you're used to these online virtual rooms. All right, so for the login process here for 48 and 46, again, we provide the credentials. You are going to sign in at the portal here, and I'm not sure if John has actually released that portal yet, but this is what it's going to look like. And we don't need to discuss this, but here's a few snippets of what our actual content does look like. I don't have a video to play, but we do have a lot of 3D animation. Our new MSHA training, when it comes to the modules, is going to set up a story, and it's very helpful when we incorporate stories with our actual training material. It definitely makes retention much more effective. We have videos. In some cases, we just have pictures. We also have activities that students can work on throughout the training, as well as quizzes and tests at the very end that is required to pass. So there is testing in our training. And here's just a few more examples about that storytelling, which increases knowledge retention, and those interactive exercises. Okay, so how do you get your training certificate? This is another question that we get a lot. So once a student is complete with their Part 48 training, we are going to fill out their 5023 form. Now, there's a couple ways that we get notified. We have notifications that are set up within our LMS that will allow us to know when a student is complete. But if they're in the virtual room, usually what we ask them to do is just let us know when they complete their 8 hours. We're going to verify all training, and as soon as that training is verified, we will fill out a electronic 5023 form, which are acceptable on mine property. We actually get the forms from MSHA's website. So we will be sending those out via PDF, and the reason we do PDF is because, from my experience, students tend to lose their certificates a lot, and filling them out can be a task in mailing them out. So we do the PDF because we can get them their certificate right away. And if they lose them, they can simply print out another one and have that on them. So there's a lot of benefits to issuing it this way. Once you do receive a certificate, all you'll need to do is sign and date it and send a copy back to us for our records. All right, pricing. So this is the last thing I really wanted to talk about when it comes to our training is the pricing. Part 46 training, this is the content only. So this is when you have the competent person and the training plan. We're going to be $125 per person. Our Part 48 refresher training is going to be $175 per person, and our Part 48 new miner will be $450 per person. I had a comment that says my audio is cut out. John, are you able to hear me okay?
Can hear you loud and clear, yes.
Great. All right. Excellent. So, I wanted to go through that pretty quickly because I know the Q&A is going to be very important to you, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions here. So I wanted to open up the Q&A right now, unless John had anything that he wanted to touch on. I highly encourage to ask any questions from a regulatory standpoint that I can help answer, and just kind of open it up to everyone.
Andrew, thank you very much. Great presentation. I got a lot of great questions, so I'm going to try to get through these pretty quickly. First question, I'm going to try to work backwards here, so if you sent in a question earlier, I'll get to it, I promise. I have an employee in BROWZ. Will the certificates be stored in the BROWZ system? So I'll take that one. So what the suppliers will do is, if you are subscribing to employee-level data management in BROWZ, where you've entered all your employees and we're tracking their qualifications, you can upload that PDF file from your BROWZ console and attach it to that employee's credentials. So you will always have access to that PDF file there. as well as the BROWZ client that you're going to go work for, the mine site. They will also have access to that. If they require that we track that documentation, we have employee level icons. So if that 5023 is required, we check it, make sure it's up to date, and then your employee level icon is green. So in many cases, we are doing the 5023 verification for your mine site for you. And we're well aware that that Vivid is a valid provider of that training, so we take care of that pre-qualification. Next question. Do you or are you working to be able to offer Part 48 new miner underground training?
Okay, I can take that question. So the answer, the simple answer is no. No online provider is able to provide underground training at this time, and I don't foresee MSHA allowing an online provider to offer it in the future. There's several elements that come into underground certification, such as having some more site-specific training on underground mine, and simply just because MSHA understands the additional risks that come along with training in underground operations, that from a comfort point of view, I don't think online is going to be moving in that direction for the full 40 hours for the underground. What I can say, though, is from a collaborative training point, if a possible mine site has worked with us in the past, normally the first 3 days are spent doing surface operation training, so the Part 48 new miner, and then the last 2 days are spent on underground training. It is possible to collaborate with a mine site on that, but it's very rare that does happen. So most of it is done, if not all, in-house.
Okay, great. This is kind of a technical question. Does the training bookmark where each student is in their training? I guess this question is someone who's used to using kind of self-directed online learning, and your courses are really more live instructor-led courses, correct? So I wouldn't think that bookmarking would apply, right?
Bookmarking does apply for this, and back on this slide right here, here's a good example. I guess you can't quite see it, but when a student has hit a particular section in the lesson, it will give them a bookmark. So our new miner and refresher does incorporate these modules. So if they do need to leave and come back, they can pick up where they left off. We always recommend that they leave at the end of a particular section. That way we know that they received the check mark.
Okay, great. Question, is 8-hour refresher course available?
Yes. The 8-hour refresher course for Surface is available right now.
Okay. Question about will the Part 46 still be available 24/7? Not sure.
So talking about availability, they do have access to the content 24/7. It is important to note, though, that there are MSHA restrictions when it comes to taking your training. They do want it completed during a company's normal business hours. If you have weird business hours that work at night, then yes, that training is still going to be available to you.
Okay. Here's a question. Will there be an employer administrator login? So if we enroll more than one employee on behalf of a company, can we track it, pay for it, audit the class at a management level, and get receipts and copies of the 5023? It's kind of a long question.
So I think Sean might be able to answer this one. Currently, the way we have it set up is for the transactional single seat. I do not know if it's for, I know we have the ability to offer admin access. I do not know to the extent of which we have that available right now for BROWZ.
Yes, and I can answer that question. So the typical setup that we have for a client is that they'll contact us, say we have you know, 20 employees to train. We would do a contract with them, sign them up, give them admin access, and also set up all their employees for the training that is needed. Now, the MSHA, like Andrew mentioned with BROWZ, is just single transactions, so the employees are responsible for submitting their completion certificate to their manager for importation into the BROWZ system.
So, Sean, if we have a supplier that wants to enroll a bulk number of their employees in the course, they should contact you through that number on their screen and arrange that? Would that be possible?
Yes, we could do that.
Okay, great. Another question. Must I have a signed 5023 for both Part 48 and 46 if I work at both types of mines?
Yes, if you are going onto a 46 site as well as a 48 site, so if you're going onto a sand and gravel pit and later in the year you might be going to a gold mine open pit, then a Part 48 certificate is going to cover both. It is important to understand, though, when it comes to contractor training, that site-specific training is a requirement. So while you will still receive a full signed form from us, you are still required to receive that initial site-specific training afterwards and get a form for that as well.
Question, only a small subset of my miners are in the BROWZ roster. Can those that are not in the BROWZ roster system take advantage of this training? I think I can answer that question, and that's yes. So if your employees are all not in the BROWZ system, they can certainly take advantage of this training through Vivid Learning. The only benefit that you won't get is you won't be able to store those 5023 certificates in the BROWZ system. So you and your client won't have access to those certificates if they need to access them. So we would encourage you to put all of your miners in the BROWZ roster, but it isn't required. Another question, do we list you on our existing training plan or do we use yours?
Okay, so if you are signing up through the BROWZ website, you are actually going to be on our training plan. I know some companies will have a policy where they need to add all instructors to their plan, so feel free to add our name on it. If you also would like to see a copy of our training plan, I know that's also a policy for many companies, I can send that over to you, but all students who are going to be signing up with us are going to be taking the training under our plan.
Okay, here's a question specific to the state of Kentucky. Concerning the Part 48 initial and refresher training, some states such as Kentucky has what they refer to as primacy over MSHA training and requires all trainers to be certified through the state program before you can train, before you can MSHA train miners in this state. Have you made provisions for this?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. Kentucky, we actually did a little bit of research into, and Kentucky Coal especially. They do have certain state restrictions, and what I was able to come up with is we are still allowed to offer our training to Kentucky coal sites. The only state that I will give warning to is West Virginia Coal. They do have very strict regulations on their surface and underground coal sites to where online Part 48 training will not be able to be completed unless you are a West Virginia approved instructor.
Great. Here's a question related to the webcam. So in order to take the training course, you are required to be on the webcam at all times?
Absolutely. This is one of the main reasons that we are able to provide this training is because that visual verification of all students. MSHA, one of their big concerns was not being able to see students and verify the end user for Part 48 training. And we actually had been in works with them probably about this issue more than any others when it comes to online training. And we decided that even though it's not necessarily stated in the regs that they have to be on webcam, we take the practice one step further because we want to make sure that if MSHA says they would like to see it, and we're going to put it into practice. So it's certainly going to be a requirement for 48.
Great. I think you talked about this training occurring during business hours before, but here's a question. For some contractors such as us, we don't have the availability to train during the day. We are Part 46 compliant and work in the construction industry where our training takes place at night and weekends. How can we work with this?
Well, if you are going to be 46 compliant, then because you're going to be receiving the content, the training plan template, and the blank certificates to fill it out, it's going to be at your discretion what your business hours are going to be. Really, the factor here is that competent person's availability because they're ultimately going to be the ones signing off on the certificates. So if you are an organization that operates at night and those are your hours, then you're still going to have access to the training during those hours.
Okay, I have two related questions here. My mine site is telling me that they will not accept online training.
Okay. Depending on the mine site, this is a case that comes up quite a bit, and a lot of this is because of a misconception with training. I mean, keep in mind, many of us have only recently heard that we've been able to provide this training, when in fact we've been around for about 4 years offering this. So a mine site does have the right to turn around any training at their discretion. However, in many cases, if the mine is turning it away, it's because they are not aware that a online program has actually been approved to be able to operate in this format. So if that's the case, normally I would reach out to them, send them a copy of our plan and our blue card, and speak to them on these issues. I may even have to get in touch with a local MSHA district because they're going to follow the advice of what MSHA is telling them. And even when it comes to MSHA, every district is different. We all probably can agree with that. And some districts want things done differently. But from a legal point of view, this training is 100% compliant with MSHA. If I need to speak to a district manager or a field service specialist, I will do so and let them know of our plan because they may be unaware as well.
So that's the second part of that question was, have you considered proactively notifying mine companies such as Cloud Peak Energy, Peabody, et cetera, that your training is certified? People cannot afford to be stopped at the gate and denied entry while waiting for Vivid to be contacted to rectify things. So I think I can take that one. BROWZ is proactively reaching out to its customers to tell them about this program, and those mine sites have also been invited to this webinar, and some of them are in attendance here today. But if we need to have another follow-up meeting specifically with the mine sites that are still skeptical, we'll do that. Vivid Learning Systems is also going to be attending the first annual BROWZ Client Summit, which is taking place in October, and then hopefully we can address some of those questions one-on-one at that time.
And to add to this, John, if any mine site is interested in sitting in on one of our new miner sessions to kind of test drive and take a look, we are more than happy to accommodate them. So if that's what it comes down to, they just want to see it firsthand, all they would have to do is get in touch with us and we can have them sit in as guests.
Two related questions, I'll read them both. Is this course available in Canada, and can foreign companies train online and use their MSHA certificates in the United States?
That's a really good question. So if you are in a foreign country going to a mine site, then yes, you can take advantage of the online training. This comes down to auditing. You cannot, from a legal point of view, leave the U.S. to train MSHA in a country like Canada. But because we are located in Washington and Austin and Arizona, MSHA can audit us by sitting in on the training. So if you're from any other country going to a U.S. mine, there's going to be a little bit of a time zone difference, but you are still able to receive this training.
So here's a question that may require the person who submitted it to be in contact with you directly to really get at the root of this question, but I'll try to interpret it here. We're not a mine, but do air testing on mining facilities, so we fall under their training plan, correct? We do not hire miners. We use OSHA for all other clients, and that is acceptable for Part 46, but not 48, correct?
So this is kind of a tricky question, because anytime, and it doesn't depend on what you're actually doing, anytime you are stepping foot on mine property, you have to receive MSHA training. Even if you are just on site for a few days and not directly involved in the mining process, most of us probably do not are directly affected. If you are on mine property, then you do need to be MSHA certified. There is a regulation, though, that says if you are on property for 5 or less days, and this is something that's always worth mentioning to the mine site, if you are going to be on site for 5 or less days, then you are eligible to only receive site-specific training and be supervised by an employee of the mine. But this is at the mine's discretion. If they want you to be certified, then they have the right to do so. So it's always worth checking in on that.
Great. Another question: how much advance notice do we need in order to register for a class?
Okay, that's another really good question. When it comes to 48 refresher training, whenever they're ready to get going, they can just contact us, and we can usually put them in that same day. 46 training works the exact same way. So I would usually say, give yourself about a day or two when you know. New miner training is going to be a little bit different because we have a maximum amount of students that we can put in the class. So our courses generally do fill up every week. I would venture on a fair side to say about a week in advance. Our courses are posted, the available courses. If one is not on there, it means that it has been taken down. But don't let that discourage you from reaching out to us, because if we have enough demand, then we can open up another course. So I would say give yourself about a week. But if you wait the Monday before a Tuesday course, there's a good chance it might be full.
Okay, we're almost at we are at about the 45-minute mark here. I'm going to try to answer a couple more questions because there are still some good ones out there, and if you need to go, you may. We will be sending out slides following this call so that you can have this material. And if we didn't get to your question, we'll try to answer it back to you via email. Here's a question: is the new miner class what is needed for a safety professional who will conduct safety inspections in the mining industry?
Probably, because if you're going to be conducting safety inspections in the mining industry, you will eventually need to be on mine property. So anytime you're going to be on property, they're going to require this training, and it's good to just have, because it's going to be contractor training. So it's going to be a lot of topics that you may have seen before, but there's going to be a lot of new ones that you're not familiar with that are going to be very important when you go on site. So I would say yes.
Great. Here's a quick one: if we attend the Part 48, does it cover Part 46?
Yes. 48 covers both, but not the other way around. If you take 46 training, you cannot get onto a 48 site, but a 48 will cover both. So if you're unsure, we will always recommend to do 48 because you're going onto our plan and you're getting a certificate that's going to get you on all surface sites. And that includes coal, for those of you who were curious if we offer coal certifications. We do.
Thanks. Sean, I think this one is for you. If I have a group larger than 20 people, do you have group rates?
Currently, with the agreement with BROWZ, we do single transactions. But if there is a large enough group, we look at of course volume, and also there's an annual commitment of a certain amount of employees, then we certainly, would look at that.
Yeah, and I think BROWZ would also work with that as well in our relationship with Vivid. So I would think the answer to that is probably yes. As a contractor working in a coal mine, do I need Part 46 or Part 48?
Part 48. Did you get that, John? Part 48?
I got it. Yep. I'm just trying to sift through some of the questions that I didn't get a chance to pre-read. How do you define competent person? Is someone with Part 48 qualified?
This is a real gray area because the MSHA regulations don't really specify what a competent person is, but it really boils down to your knowledge and understanding of the regulation. If you've done Part 48 training before and you've been on the mine before and you have some experience, certainly that can qualify as competent. Normally, it's someone from the safety department that has this knowledge and understanding, but because it's not really defined, it really is going to boil down to, when you're signing off on these certificates, do you consider yourself responsible enough for the training that this person has received, because you're vouching for them essentially. So while it's not quite defined, if MSHA asks you some questions, some very basic questions, are you going to be able to answer that? If your employer that you train comes to you with a basic safety question, will you be able to answer that question? And that's normally how we try to define it.
So I have a question. I have someone that would like to discuss Part 46 training further after this webinar is over. Should they contact that 509-412-7077 number?
Yes. Yeah, they can contact that number, or they can shoot us an email. A lot of us will actually be on the receiving end of that. So either one will work for us if you have questions.
Okay. Can training be conducted with one webcam with a group in a conference room?
Yes. In fact, this is a preferred method in many ways, because when you are dealing with a lot of webcams, having a group that can cut down the number of cams you use is certainly going to make it easier for us. As long as we can verify all the end users on the cam, so we'll normally probably just get like a little roll call, 5 people normally, what we say if they want to do it in a conference room. And if they want to have it set up that way, either we need to see everyone while they're taking the training, or be able to verify them by, just looking at the camera waving, so we know that everyone is in there. And they will be working on those lessons, the modules. They'll be working on those together as a group.
How long is the Part 46 new miner training versus the Part 48 new miner and refresher training? So how long are those sessions? How long do they last?
Okay, so for both 46 and 48 new miner, it's going to be 24 hours. With 48 training being certified through us, it's going to be 3 8-hour days. So we're going to be covering all that through the duration of online material. 46 training works a little bit differently. There's about 4 to 5 required hours that you must complete before you go on a mine site. The remainder of the time can either be completed through task training, on the job training, as long as it's being supervised and signed off on a competent person, or it can be completed through the modules that we have provided. So 46 has a little more flexibility because they can do some on-site training to fill in for that 24 hours. But they can certainly use all of our modules if they want to.
As an HVAC technician working at a mine, am I required to take the full 24-hour course?
Yes, if you're going to be on mine property, if you're going to be on there for 5 or more days, and you will be anywhere other than the office building, then yes, you will be required to have this training.
Your working hours are 3 hours different from ours. If we're going to do the refresh, you said we can break that up. How do we track that this has or hasn't been completed? Are there different sections to be completed?
So the way that we track it, and I will back up here, it's through our LMS system. So if they want to see what how much time they've spent in the training, all they will have to do is click on this lower picture here. I don't have my mouse. Is this training status report, and if you notice, it adds up the time that they've spent in here. So if they wanted to know where they're at, like currently we see 11 minutes, then they can use that as a reference when it's in the training. So if they get 4 hours done, they'll look in there, see they have 4 hours, come back, and they'll know exactly how much time they have left if that classroom's not available to them, in a full 8-hour day.
Getting a lot of questions like this. I think it's the same answer. If you're on a mine site, you need the certification. But our company services machinery, primarily cranes on a site in a quarry. We're not typically entering the mines. What training should we be taking?
If you're not entering a mine, and you're not on mine property, then that's going to fall under OSHA. Or construction, depending on what you're doing. However, anytime you're on that mine property, you're going through that gate, it's going to fall under MSHA.
So it's safe to say that once you cross onto their property, walk through the gate, you're 10 feet in, you trip and fall down. It's an MSHA issue, right?
Yes.
Okay. If we've completed an MSHA 48 in a previous format, live instructor, does BROWZ or Vivid accept that certificate and our employees can then take the refresher online through Vivid? That's a good question.
So hopefully I understand this question. So they've taken the training with us in the past. Do they need to show us the previous certificate? Is that?
No, I think the question is if they've taken it in a traditional way from someone other than Vivid, and can they take the refresher through you if they provide you with the original certificate?
Oh, sorry. Yes, absolutely. In fact, if they're going to be doing Part 48 training, we do require that we see their previous certificate. This is going to come down to, from our point of view, we need proof that you've taken this training before. So yes, if you've taken it through someone else and you want to take it through us, you just show us that 5023 form. If everything looks good and most certificates do, then you're eligible to take it through us.
Question: how do we pay for the training?
I think that is, Sean, you can help me out with this one. We do have that portal that we have set up for BROWZ, and we do have a e-commerce site. But if it's for 46 training or more than one transactional, correct me if I'm wrong, but is it all going to be through e-commerce, Sean?
Yeah, there's if it gets more than, I'd say, hey, I've got 10 people, we will run the card through e-commerce for a group sign up, and then also put the individual in the system. Now, but the typical is, say, I got a couple people, it's screened, like, okay, what kind of site are you on? Do you have a previous cert? Let's look at that. And then we'll get them to the right product by sending them to the web portal. Then they will pick the right product and also just sign up that way via e-commerce. That's the typical way we do the transactional.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we normally create a login and have the instructions for you to just sign up, pick the course you want, and pay for it. And you should have all the information you need at that point from us, because we will be in contact with you.
Andrew, I have a question specifically related to District 9. District 9 has special directives that are required to be covered in the annual refresher, crane and rigging and welding hazards. Will this be a part of the training provided?
Yes. In fact, District 9 is one of those districts that I work very closely with. I'm also down here in Texas, so they're kind of in my backyard. Our refresher and new miner covers both overhead and crane, hot works, and lock and tag.
Our company currently uses Vivid Learning for Part 48 refresher online training. Do I still sign up for the training through Vivid Learning directly, or do I have to go through BROWZ to sign up? So you guys, if you're already a customer of Vivid, I would continue to log your transactions the way that you currently do through Vivid. That would be fine. Last question, and then we're going to have to go. Once we log in, all our employees, will we be able to start MSHA training? So I'm going to answer that from the BROWZ perspective. So there's no pre-requirement that your employees be logged in the BROWZ software. We want you to put them in there so that we can store the certificates there. You know, Andrew, can you take it from your perspective?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? Make sure I'm understanding.
Once we log in all our employees, will we be able to start MSHA training?
Yes. Once they have their login and they pay for the training, they can begin the training whenever they're ready.
And one more great question, and then we're going to cut it off here. Is training available in Spanish or other languages beside English?
Not currently. If there's, you know, we're always open to discovering new ways to offer this in other languages, but right now we only have it offered in English.
Andrew, thank you very much. This was very informative. I want to apologize for not getting to all the questions. We had so many great questions, and we'll try to address them via email and get those answered back to you. I want to thank Andrew and Sean from Vivid Learning Systems for providing us this presentation today. We'll make sure that we get a copy of this out to all of you. Hopefully you've taken down that phone number and that email. If you have any questions related to this product, reach out to that phone number. Best bet is to send something to that email address. There's a large distribution list, and somebody will be sure to get back to you. I want to thank all the suppliers and BROWZ clients for joining us today on this webinar. I hope you found it very informative, and have a very safe day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.